Hi, it's Han from out.p camera. So we're here at Sammy's Camera. They're doing a Sony photo walk, but I brought my Nikon Z52 camera. And why? I'm actually gonna review this camera. So let's go test it out, check it out. Let's go.
I was at the Sony photo walk but decided to put the Nikon Z50 Mark II to the test. Now I'm not sponsored nor paid for this review. I rented this from lensrentals.com because I was curious. All the footage you see of the photo walk right now is shot with the Z50 Mark II in Nikon N-Log 10-bit at 4K just with the Rec 709 LUT and basic exposure correction. Now, I owned and used the original Z50, and as someone who sees the value of APS-C, or in this case, DX crop cameras, I was excited to see what Nikon had done. Especially in my real-life use case, I found that the Mark II to be ergonomically similar to the first one with a slightly more comfortable EVF placement, although I found the feel of the shutter button a little plasticky or toyish, with no real travel or dampening. I thought this wouldn't bother me, but it continued to be a sour note in an otherwise good handling experience. Of course, since I was at a Sony photo walk, I brought my mega adapter to try some Sony lenses with this camera, like this 70-200 f4 Mark II. I got some beautiful photos with this setup, and I do enjoy Nikon skin tones.
So Sammy's has been a good place to come to really try out some gear, and this camera has been a very compact and enjoyable equipment to shoot with.
One of my gripes with Nikon was that they didn't have any decent DX lenses like the 16-55 f2.8G, although in late 2025 that's no longer the case, thankfully.
So the Z52 has a lot of features that I feel like are available on like more pro level cameras. This has the XP7 processor that's in a lot of the high end cameras like the Z8, and it's able to get that good autofocus. It's also able to shoot 4K and 10-bit, which is very impressive for an entry level camera.
The Mark II features a new flip out screen, front tally lamp, has still plenty of the inputs, but also features a slightly updated ENEL25A.
The Z52 has many different ergonomic features, such as these buttons up here. One of them is the new picture control button. And this lets you quick access to all the different color profiles that you can apply to your JPEGs, as well as your videos. There's a few that you can download from creators, as well as color profiles that you can make yourself. And then you can apply it to all your photos and video, giving you an easy finished look. Let's actually stop, and because we're actually in 2026, January 1st actually, and the camera has changed a lot since then. Not necessarily through firmware updates, there have been some, but nothing major. But our public perception, as well as my personal take on the camera, has changed a little bit, which is to say that before I thought I was recommending just the camera body without much thought of like who it's meant for and whatever, but now it's become a more complete camera as to like say this is actually for the beginner photographer who wants to get into a Nikon ecosystem, which if I think about it like that, I really can't recommend it until more recently, where Nikon did introduce two new APS-C DX lenses, the 18-50 f2.8 with optical image stabilization in the lens. This is big because none of the DX cameras have any stabilization, as well as their, I believe it's a 35 1.7 macro. I think these two lenses really do bring the lineup to a little bit more of a comprehensive, like, oh, there's finally some lenses on this DX platform. And that's something that I've always kind of not recommended Nikon cameras for, because there was no lenses, and we finally got two here. So that's a great reason why I would recommend this now. But I think I still have to position this camera as much of a content creation type of camera that can also do photo because this has the product showcase. It's much more affordable. It's very light and carryable. It's something that I think the person who's new to cameras, they want to take pictures using an EVF, but also wants to create some level of content, could find this camera usable, because this finally has like the 10-bit analog and some of the nicer color profiles that you can just throw on there using the flexible color profile. They have that dedicated button, and it's easy to download those creator LUTs that they have. Yeah, so I think this camera has changed a lot in that sense. Where it hasn't is where it's not that great for, you know, a lot of the talk and walk stuff, because of the sensor is kind of slow. So even then, I guess it's difficult to recommend this particular camera, especially when there's a lot more compelling options, right? This really is a hybrid entry-level camera. So it really gives you a little bit of that photo capabilities, has that EVF, has all of the new Nikon features, has their better autofocus system because of their new X-Speed 7 processor, has the subject detections, has all the basic video tools that they've introduced, including all their color profiles, the ones that you can download, as well as the 10-bit analog. But, you know, obviously the actual technology in the body is not that different from the original Z50. This is like a good quality of life improvement for a new person who's just getting into photography. I really feel like this can grow with the user for quite a while, so it's still great. But I don't think it's something that Nikon should be resting easy and thinking that Nikon doesn't need any more higher level cameras like a Z60, Z80. I think a Z80 would be a fantastic type of camera, something with higher megapixels, has built-in IBIS, but still has the APS-C size sensor to keep costs down. All that being said, I think Nikon is in the right direction here. They're finally reinforcing their APS-C line. I really hope that they open up the mount for Sigma so that they can bring their 17-40 f1.8 zoom lens, as well as their other primes that they haven't gotten from them, like their 23mm 1.4, I believe, just to round out all of their potential APS-C lens options. All that being said, Happy New Year, everybody. Let's get back to the video. So coming in around $900, $1,050 with the kit lens, this is a solid value proposition. And honestly, I don't think any other brands can match it. This has a EVF, unlike the Fujifilm X-M5 or some of the other cameras that don't even have 10-bit recording, or just don't have like an actual grip, you know? So considering all those things, I really think this is a solidly built camera with weather sealing and all these other features that a lot of cameras don't have at this price range. So having used this camera for the entire day and this whole weekend, I feel like this camera has been such a fun time to use, and in my real life use, it's just been very reliable. The autofocus has been great, the videos, the photos, everything looks great. And you know, for what this camera represents, good value for $1, at a level where it's just above entry level, where you can buy this camera and be sure that this is gonna last you a while. It has such good capabilities for what you're getting. Despite this, I don't recommend this camera because you're investing into a DX lens ecosystem with no potential upgrades in the future. As a C camera or a daily carry on a budget, there's better options, especially in the used camera market space. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Leave me comments below on what cameras you want to see or comparisons. Until next time, ciao.